Hey everyone, it's Chantal Goddard, your 2021 president of BDAR. I am here with the monthly activity breakdown, and we have added a little bit of a quarterly flair for you just to go over because we are at the end of Q1. So let's start this off by looking at the weekly breakdown for what's been happening in the month of March. With everything that's been going on since the start of the pandemic, we've really been monitoring weekly activity because there's been such a huge variance, and you'll definitely notice it. I know everybody that's out there that's working right now, we are feeling the changes that are happening on a week-to-week basis. So at the start of the month, we had new listings were up about 13.1%. So if you guys remember, we were kind of going through, and then we just sort of saw there was a little bit of a blip in the market where I know having conversations with clients, we were sort of waiting to see what was going to happen. It seemed like everything sort of slowed down almost a little bit. That's because the number of new listings kept increasing week over week. So the most drastic change that we noticed was the last week of March. There was a 77% change in the number of new listings on the market for the last week of March this year compared to last year. That is a massive change. The other huge notable for week over week was in the last week of March with the total sales. Total sales were up 197% when we compare it to this week last year. So this week last year, we were in pandemic mode. There was so much uncertainty going on. So everything really sort of hit a slowdown. So that helps explain a little bit of the difference there, but it's still such a drastic and significant growth year over year compared to the slowdown that we experienced whenever we sit and look at the numbers, can compare them between 2020 and 2019. So if you guys are looking for this information, it's in the week by week residential market activity report that is attached to this video. So you can go through and you can actually see week by week what's been happening. So as we went through the month of March, the number of new listings that were coming on the market were continuing to increase week over week. The number of sales stayed fairly similar at 67% for the first half of the month. But then that's whenever we started to see the number of sales increase drastically. So for the total months of inventory that we were sitting at the very end of the month, we're still at such a significantly low amount of inventory. We're at 0.4%. So ready for this? Last year, we were sitting at 2.2 months of inventory for the month of March. So that is a decrease of 81%. So whenever you're having the conversation with your clients and you're trying to explain what's happening, I know we keep saying supply and demand and the amount of listings that are coming on the market, like there's not enough properties and for the demand that we have. So we are still seeing, and you can go through the hot sheet, you can look at all the sales and where the realtors were coming from that brought the buyers on the homes. We're all out practicing right now. We're all selling homes. We're all working with buyers. We're still seeing that huge amount of relocation that is coming from the city, from the GTA. Again, going into this third wave of the pandemic, I think we're still going to continue to see everybody that's wanting to relocate from the city. We're just having a conversation actually with the Toronto stats and what's happening down there. When I get into the actual numbers for the average sale prices for homes in Simcoe County and in Barrie, we're not far off right now from the average sale prices in Toronto, which is mind-boggling to me. That our average sale prices have seen that much of an increase this month and this year to date. So let's get into some of those numbers. So for the first quarter of 2021, January, as soon as the holidays ended, everything just sort of skyrocketed with the level of activity. Traditionally, it's usually a little bit slower getting into the start of the spring market. I feel like the spring market started in January. I don't know if everyone else is with me on this, but that's definitely what we're seeing there. So when you compare the activity level in Q1 2021 to Q1 2020, there was an increase of 58.8 units sold in all of Simcoe County. The staggering number that is very surprising to me is the average sale price of homes in Simcoe County. So when you compare the average sale price between Q1 2021 to Q1 2020 for Simcoe County, we have increased by 41.8%. So the average sale price of a home in Simcoe County is $750,301. Which compared to this quarter last year, it was 529,168. So that is a drastic increase. For the other areas in Simcoe County, Barrie, we've seen a surge in prices. There was an increase of 35% in average sale price between Q1 this year and Q1 last year. The number of sales increased by 64.5%. The conversations that I'm having right now with professionals in the industry, whether they're economists, analysts, researchers, is financial advisors as well, is what's going to be happening? What should we be watching for? What are some of the telltale signs that can indicate a change in the market? So the big things that we are watching right now is inflation. The amount of debt that the government has incurred right now is astronomical. There's a couple stats that I was given the other day that are just mind-boggling with regards to how much money is sitting on the sidelines. So at some point in time, something's going to have to be done to inject that money into the economy. So it'll be interesting to see where it comes from, how it's going to be injected, and how that's going to affect house prices overall. We are planning on doing another talk with Ben Rabideau, who did a phenomenal job back in January, touching on trends to look for, what's important, what may affect the market, and inflation was one of the things that he mentioned. So as we're getting closer to the new budget that's coming out, there's going to be some more information there as well. The other thing is interest rates. That seems to be the easiest way for the feds to cool down the market or put measures in place. Buyers are still having to qualify with the stress test. So that was put in place to sort of protect people from any potential increase in interest rates and make sure that they can still afford to pay their mortgage. So there's some level of protection there from some of the conversations that I've been having, but nobody is thinking that interest rates are going to be increased or that serious measures are going to be put in place to try and cool down the housing market prior to an election. What does all of this mean for our business? So we are hired by our clients as the trusted professional. You have so much information available at your fingertips with all these stats reports that are prepared for you. You have monthly reports, you have the quarterly reports, you have the HPI reports that are prepared that give you the full picture of what's happening at a national level. You have the weekly stats that are absolutely phenomenal and really give you a fantastic snapshot of what's happening. There's also, if you go and follow BDAR on Instagram and Facebook, there's beautiful graphics that are prepared for daily updates on what's happened in the real estate market. So utilize all this information so that you can in turn provide your clients with the best sound advice possible for really what is best for them in this market. I know the conversations that I'm having with my clients is let's evaluate what your plan is, what the best move is for you, for your family, what makes sense. Does it make sense to list now? Does it make sense to purchase first? There's so many different factors that come into play, but even timing, it's really monitoring the weekly activity of what's happening and making sure that you are providing them with the best advice possible for them. we always have to touch on the COVID protocols. So there's whispers that we are possibly going into another full lockdown with stay-at-home orders in place. We are extremely fortunate as realtors to be considered an essential service. Let's remain essential. Consumers have the confidence in us. They trust us. They know that we are there, that we will protect them. So let's continue on with what we're doing and all of our efforts that we've done so far. We need to make sure that whenever we are out showing properties, whenever we have a listing, that we are following public health protocols on what we should be doing. Encourage your clients to do the same as well. That way, whenever the neighbors are out looking around, they can see how professional you are and that you are following all the rules that are in place. And on a much more exciting note, Ashley Polishchuk and I will be doing another quarterly report video for you on the residential market and the commercial market. As realtors, there's so much of the residential market that depends on what's happening in the commercial world. That's going to deal with employment opportunities, any new growth that's going to be happening, any new employers that are coming in, investment properties, industrial properties. There's so much information there that is key to you. And it really helps give you the bigger picture of what's going on in Simcoe County, in Barrie. So we invite you to join us and watch that video. That way you really have a full picture of the real estate market and what's happening. And that's a wrap for the monthly activity breakdown with our quarterly flair. As always, if you have questions, if you want to talk about the market, if you want to know what's happening at BDAR, what we are doing, by all means, please reach out. I'm always happy to chat with you. And make sure that you check your message of the day and your emails for all the important information that BDAR has.